I'll give a gospel presentation, but tonight I want to talk about a different group of folks. I want to talk about folks who claim the name of Christ, who say that they're Christian, who say they are born again. If that is you, please give me a few moments of your time.
I've got tracks.
A farmer went out to sow some seeds, and as he was throwing the seeds, some of the seed fell along the way, and birds came down and snatched that seed up. Other seed fell upon the rock, and when the seed took and the sun came overhead, it scorched the plant and the plant died. The farmer also threw some seeds among the thorns and thistles, and the seed took and the plant grew, and as the plant grew, the thorns and weeds grew with it, and they killed out the seed. Finally, some seed fell along the good path where it got rooted and grew, and it produced a harvest, either 100 or 60 or 30 what was sown. And the point of the parable is this, is the seed is the word of God, the gospel message. And that gospel message has gone out to basically four groups of people in this parable. The first group is the unbeliever, the group who just reject the message completely. And the birds that come down from the air are Satan and his dominions who snatch that word away. And the second group, the group where the seed fell along the stones, those are people who accept the gospel message, but yet persecution comes upon them because of Christ. And their faith kind of just whittles up and dies. You know, these are folks that maybe who will say they're a Christian, but yet at work they won't claim the name of Christ because they're afraid of what their co-workers may say. Or, you know, they'll see somebody get made fun of because they're a Christian and they don't want to speak up. Okay. Now in the third group were people who accepted the gospel message, and the thorns and thistles, and those thorns and thistles represent the cares of this world. So it's somebody who's accepted the gospel message, but as they kind of grow in their walk, the cares of these world just choke it out. They get more consumed about what they're going to eat, what they're going to wear, what they're going to drive, who they're going to sleep with, and the love of Christ grows cold. Now if you find yourself in the fourth group, the group that took root and reproduced, God bless you, keep reproducing. So in this parable, do you see yourself in any one of these? The seed that was snatched up, are you a non-believer who thinks this is just the stupidest thing you ever heard? Are you like the stones, where you'll say you're a Christian until persecution comes? Are you the seed among thorns, where you'll say you're a Christian, but you know what, you care a lot about this world? Or do you find yourself in the good soil? You know, my question to you tonight is, are you saved? And if you are saved, how do you know you're saved? Is it because you said a prayer? Because if you were saved, that means you have had an encounter with the one true living God. And you would have a metamorphosis in your life. You would be born again. And one of the ways you can kind of examine yourself in the faith is to look at the Ten Commandments. The Ten Commandments are God's laws, God's way of being good. And before we become saved, we were probably really good at not even keeping them. So let's just go through some of the Ten Commandments. Because again, if you are a Christian, you should see things drop off in your life. It's called sanctification. Sin starts to leave your life. So let's just talk over a few of them. Coveting. Do you covet? Covet, let me give you some examples of what coveting is. Have you ever gotten a phone call from a friend and said, hey, what's up, man? What are you doing? Nothing. Hey, I got to come by your house and show you something. You say, okay, no problem. And the person comes up and they're driving a brand new car. And you look at that and you go, what? They're in a brand new car? They don't even deserve that car. You know what? It must be nice. It must be nice to have, you know, mom and dad buy it for you, or you know, they can't even afford it. That's one example of coveting. Another example of coveting would be is this. Have you ever been invited to a dinner party, maybe a housewarming, and you get there and you look at the house and you go, wow, this is a beautiful house. Man, I wish I had a house like this. That's an example of coveting. Here's a third example of coveting, and then we'll move on to the other ones. Have you ever met somebody's spouse, maybe their wife or husband, and looked at the wife and said, man, she's hot? That would be coveting. Or maybe if you're a lady, you've met somebody's husband and you said, wow, he's really godly. I wish my husband was godly. That would be coveting. So that should be something that leaves you. How about murder? That seems pretty straightforward. Do you ever commit murder? You know, as a Christian, we shouldn't be murdering. I think that's pretty agreeable. But let's talk about some things. Do you know if you had an abortion, that would be murder? You have to give an account on that. If you take birth control that has an infanticide in it, you would be murdering constantly. You know, let's just expound on murder for a moment. Jesus said that if you hate your brother without cause, you're a murderer. That's what he said. So the point of this is, it's not just your actions, it's the intent of your heart. Let me give you an example of murder that happens. It's Friday night. You're in a hurry to get home from work because it's, I don't know, let's say it's your birthday. You're going to meet with your friends, and you're going to go out, you're going to go have dinner, you're going to have a movie, you're going to have a great time. And so all day long at work, you just can't wait to get going. So you get in the car and you drive, you're breaking the speed limit, you're in the left lane and you are hauling. And all of a sudden in the left lane you come up to a car with Minnesota plates that's doing 45. And now you're behind this car going, are you kidding me? And you start to do the swerve back and forth and honk and yell. And then you say, you know what, this is crazy. I'm in a hurry, I'm just going to get over in the middle lane. By that time you realize that all the middle lane traffic is passing you and you're stuck behind this person. And you are so angry, Christ said that that's murder. How about theft? Do you steal anything? Folks will say a lot of times, no, I'm not a thief. But I don't know, it's like in their mind they're thinking it's like a bank job, like you just put, you know, $1 million high. Stealing can be done in small increment ways that God counts as theft. You know, perhaps you have a job and after breaks and lunch you're supposed to be working 8 hours and you really don't, you milk the clock. Maybe you come in and you fudge your time a little bit early or late to get the little extra overtime. That would be theft. Now what about adultery? There's another one of the 10 Commandments. See, and if you are truly saved, these things will start to leave your life. It will not be a lifestyle. Adultery. I've had people come up and say, well, it doesn't apply to me, I'm not married. That's fornication. You know, if you're gay, that's a sexual sin. Jesus said that if you look at lust with somebody, you've committed adultery with your heart. Again, it's the attitude of your heart. If you're watching porn, you're committing adultery. There's no way around it. Again, I ask you, are you saved?